Welcome everybody to another episode of Into the Stratusphere. I'm your girl Cindy G. I just wanted to take this time, Bulletcast Nation, to apologize for the huge delay of this episode. I know that the episode was supposed to be dropping a week ago, but due to the whole scheduling conflict behind the scenes, fortunately I had to re-record it, which I'm more than happy to do the re-recording because the original episode that was supposed to be dropped, I wasn't even feeling it 100%. And plus, we are less than 24 hours away from the biggest pay-per-view, which is AEW's Revolution, the first pay-per-view of 2021. So therefore, I was more than happy to re-record the episode and then get everything out of the way. And so, yeah, that's what happened. So I'm so sorry, Bulletcast Nation. But hey, Bulletcast Nation and No DQ Galaxy, which y'all know that I made my return to the NoDQ.com panel after over 1 year of hiatus. That's right, I made my return for the prediction video. Well, technically a live prediction video on NoDQ.com's YouTube channel as well as Twitter and Facebook. Thank God for StreamYard, y'all. So it felt good to be back and just do what I gotta do, especially making the prediction. However, I am aware that there has been a lot of changes going on with the card, and especially matches has been added as well by the time of recording the podcast, which definitely will be doing the prediction for AEW Revolution. And plus, your girl is actually challenging baby Huey, Philip, and Brandon for the Bulletcast title. And by the way, I really like this format about AEW Revolution, WrestleMania, all that stuff besides the whole freaking B-level pay-per-view, which thank God. So that way, after the all-out pay-per-view and then the AEW Full Gear, who knows? Maybe I'll win the title, who knows? But my pick is out there and all that, which I'll get into that later. So, yeah, you guys. And that's what I dedicated this name of the episode. Episode 28, The Revolution is Televised. That's right, it's named after Ricky Starks' AEW's theme. So, especially the pay-per-view itself, you guys. So, I'm so excited for this all together. So, anyway, on today's episode, I'll definitely do a brief wrestling news headlines, which, of course, updated, by the way. I'll definitely do the results for last week's Impact Wrestling just before going to this week's Impact Wrestling. Also, the AEW bonus, which I'm definitely going to be giving you guys my thoughts of Shaquille O'Neal or Shaq and Jade Cargill versus Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet's match, because you guys wanted me to weigh in on my thoughts of it, because y'all know me, I'm very critical when it comes to certain celebrities in the wrestling industry, as well as the overall AEW Women's Tournament, and I'm going to be giving my grades for that as well, and the predictions for AEW Revolution. Alright, guys, so without further ado, here it is, you guys. And like I said, I'm going to keep it brief with the wrestling news headlines. And especially I wanted to touch base on one of this really devastating news that I just found out this morning, which was Friday morning. So, and I wanted to take this time on Bulletcast Nation because this is very serious. Because I know I did talk about this particular independent wrestling promotion, because in the past, in the beginning of Into the Stratosphere, I did cover, dates and results from past independent wrestling show across the state and across the country, especially one wrestling promotion company, which is Synergy Pro Wrestling. Found out this morning that the promoter / the owner had a really horrific criminal past that is really disgusting and really uncalled for. I'm not going to mention his name in this episode or anywhere in the Bulletcast podcast and platform, because he does not deserve to get his name in any recognition whatsoever. Let's just say it, the crime that he committed is really horrific, you guys. And I just found out through independent wrestling stars Tara Calloway's Twitter page, and it's really disgusting. I feel so sorry for anybody, the wrestlers, the talent, the crew member, or anybody that was associated with Synergy Pro Wrestling. Yeah, everybody was very blindsided when they didn't know about this particular promoter's criminal past and all of that. So it's really disgusting. So I want to take this time, Bulletcast Nation, that I'm so sorry if I ever cover the independent wrestling news and results from the past. Also, the Synergy Championship match, like the 2-hour Ironman match that happened at GCW Fight Forever between Jordan Oliver and Tony Deppen. Yeah, I feel so bad for these wrestlers that worked their hardest, especially making notoriety as well. And I know that everybody, like including the current champ, did actually vacate the title and doesn't want anything to do with that promotion as well. And, here's the thing, you guys, like, the whole speaking out movement is no joke, regardless, too. It's still going on. It is a very devastating news, to say at least, you guys. So my heart goes out to everybody that is affected by it, and, it's really disgusting, to say at least. So, yeah, moving forward, this is going to be the final mention about Synergy Pro Wrestling whatsoever. I know that, it's really sad. It's really sad. It's really horrific. And we just gotta be aware that, you never know who we're gonna be trusted, like, within each of the, companies alike, especially talents, too. Just being fully aware whatsoever. Anyway, you guys, that is all I have to say so far, because I just wanted to let this all out. I was planning to go it on Instagram Live, so no, let me go ahead and save it briefly for the Bulletcast episode as well. I did save my piece on Instagram story, so there is that. Anyway, you guys, with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the, the real wrestling news headline. Wanted to touch base. So first things first, wanted to say rest in peace to independent wrestling star Daquan DK Meadows, who on February 24 passed away on Wednesday morning. No cause of death has been released, especially till this day. He's been wrestling at CCW, which he's part of the ZCW dojo, and also other independent wrestling company as well. And so it's really sad. He was in the industry since 2018, and everybody's affected by his death, so condolences to the friends, family, loved ones, colleagues, and everybody that knew DK Meadows. Also, you guys already know NWA stars Josephus / real name Joseph Hudson passed away on Wednesday night on February 24th from a serious health condition. So Billy Corgan did release the news on his Instagram page, and then that's where everybody has been circused throughout too. And so, yeah, I know Philip and Brendan already touched base about his death as well. So, yeah, it's really sad. And not only that, of course, Jim Crockett Jr. passed away at the age of 76 after a complicated health medical condition. He passed away on Wednesday, March 3rd. That's right. And especially on the same day as, of course, the episode of AEW Dynamite, where, of course, Tully Blanchard made his in-ring return, bringing the NWA titles, and JJ Dillon as well. So, yeah, it's really sad, to say at least, especially like Jim Crockett Jr. did run through the Jim Crockett promotion, especially building up each of the matches and all that too. So And now, as of late, as I found out, of course, NWA legend Buddy Cole did pass away at the age of 81. That's right. Known to wrestle in multiple promotions, including um, NWA as well in the 60s and the 1970s as well, you guys. Yeah, it's really sad. Sad, like all these wrestlers that everybody knows, like from back in the day or in the current, passed away. All that. It's really devastating. So, my heart goes out to the friends, family, loved ones, colleagues, and fans that knew DK Meadows, Joseph Hudson, aka Josephus slash the question mark, Jim Crockett Jr., and Buddy Cole. May them rest in peace. Anyway, guys, enough about the sadness. And speaking of, NWA, that's right. NWA made their return and announced that they're going to have their first ever pay-per-view on Fight TV, which is going to be NWA Back in the Attack, you guys. That's right. So, National Wrestling Alliance did announce that they're going to be doing this pay-per-view. And I know they did release a video promo for it. Not only that, NWA Powerrr is going to be back. However, it is going to be on Fight TV. So, that's right. It is going to be a weekly series. And, of course, it is going to be paid instead of, like, free on YouTube as well. So, pretty much, you're actually going to be kind of like... I'm guessing they're actually going to be doing like a reboot of NWA Powerrr, especially with everything has been going on like as of late, especially like the whole Dave Lagera situation because he got called out during the speaking out moment. So I think they're kind of like shying away from like from the past and just moving forward, including something positive. So honestly, it's nothing wrong with like, paying like $5 or up just to watch a weekly televised special. Hopefully there's like a deal going on where there's kind of like a package for it. But hey, I'm so excited for the upcoming pay-per-view and also the special too. And I wanted to say this, you guys, since this is Into the Stratusphere, you guys, and to make a quick announcement. Starting March 23rd. I'm definitely going to be covering NWA Powerrr's recap. That is right. Because I really enjoy watching NWA so much. I'm definitely going to be covering it all together too. And I'm so excited like what's going to be happening because I know half of the star who was in NWA is signed with different promotions as well. Like LA Knight is now with NXT. James Storm is back in Impact Wrestling. Then you have Ricky Stark and freaking Eddie Kingston is now in AEW. So many endless possibilities going on. And also Serena Deebs too, which according to the report, Serena Deeb is making her recovery after she had a knee surgery. So she is the current NWA Women's Champion, but we'll see what's going on. So I know that we're probably going to be having like a cross promotion going on between NWA and AEW as well. Who knows? There's so many endless possibility that what's going to be happening. Hopefully on the NWA Back in the Attack pay-per-view, they're probably going to be doing a 10-bell salute for / Josephus. That would be like very honorable just to honor his legacy for that as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to covering another wrestling show for y'all in the Bulletcast Nation. So yeah, you guys. So instead of just doing one solid recap for promotion and also for that, especially for something that is going to be definitely really keeping it up, instead of like with New Japan Pro Wrestling, which I'm kind of like falling a little bit behind because of the time differences and whatnot, and just to make it more easy to recap for y'all. So, yeah, you guys, I'm so excited to cover that for you guys. So, yes, Into the Stratosphere also will be covering National Wrestling Alliance. But with that being said, enough of this wrestling news headline. Let's go ahead and do a quick result from last week's Impact Wrestling from February 23rd, because we are in the month of March right now. February 23rd, 2021. So here are the results. So you have is Johnny Swinger defeated Falaba before the Impact pre-show. It was a pretty decent match, not too much to say. At least you have the Swingerellas, which is Johnny Swinger's version of the Godfather's host, of course. Did actually got involved by blocking Falaba's path before Johnny Swinger attacked him. So yeah, and then in the main card you have is Jake Something defeated Diener in a tables match, which it was a pretty decent match, except for the fact that the table was kind of like bouncing off by the corner after Jake did a baseball slide, and thank goodness it did miss him. So yeah, and then you have is like this whole situation with Moose like spearing Jake Something, attacking him, sitting down, demanding a match with Rich Swann, and then Scott D'Amore came out. He has his own theme, and then Jake Something actually came out, and then of course declared that the match is gonna be the main event match for an extinction TNA World Heavyweight Championship title between Moose and Jake Something. And then you have is the team of Chris Bay, Black Taurus with the Decay, and Ace Austin with Madman Fulton defeated the team of Trey Miguel, Willie Mack, and Josh Alexander in a 6-man tag team match. And the winner gets to face each other for the number one shot for the number one contendership for the X Division title against the current champ TJP. It was a really fun match, and I enjoyed it a lot, of course. And of course, Chris Bay did the Art of Finesse to Willie Mack and pick up the victory. And then this whole situation with Trey Miguel and Sami Callihan afterwards, where Trey did defeat the holy crap out of him after Sami Callihan went to the whole new level of the negative words of encouragement. And then you have is the AEW Dynamite Commercial, of course, at the Jaguar Stadium featuring Tony Schiavone and Tony Khan with, of course, quote unquote from Tony Khan, 4% of the AEW roster. You have is Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, Brian Nemeth, which is weird, but he is part of AEW Dark, Ricky Stark, Brian Cage, Britt Baker, and Rebel, each promoting on their prospective matches from last week's AEW Dynamite. And it's good to see, and it's funny that Brian Cage did mention that he was the former Impact Wrestling's World Heavyweight Champion. So you have him, you have Rebel, and Matt Hardy, who used to be part of Impact Wrestling. So yeah. And then you have is the Good Brothers defeated Triple XL in a semi-hostile match. Good Brothers did use the Magic Killer to pin Larry D. So yeah, and then you have is the whole segment with the Good Brothers and Finn Juice. Of course, Good Brothers kind of still reminiscing about them being the Young Boys and being sarcastic about, they're the champions stuff, until Juice Robinson did clap back saying the best professional wrestling, and Dave Finlay say hungover. So, yeah. And then you have is Eddie Edwards defeated Hernandez in a kind of like a typical, whatevers match. However, it was supposed to be Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers, but lo and behold, Brian Myers' lawyer, of course, none other than Mark Sterling. Yeah, I think that's his name. You guys remember him being one of MJF's advisors, of course, but he is also part of the Major Brothers' podcast. So it's good to see Mark Sterling, representing Brian Myers. So yeah, it is a pretty interesting match, to say at least. And of course, they made the announcement, thank God, to Scott D'Amore that Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers will be fighting against each other, and have Matt Cardona be a special guest referee. And thank goodness they kind of took a jab about the whole eye for an eye match as well, because Brian Myers is wearing his eye patch, but whatever. And then you have is the team of Jordan Grace and Jazz defeated the team of Kimberly and Susan, for the number one contendership, to face up against the current Knockouts Tag Team Champion, Fire and Flavor. They're going to be having their match at Sacrifice, which is going to be on March 13th. That's right. Woof! Crazy weekend wrestling, y'all. Let's just say at least. Yep. And then afterwards, Jazz and Jordan did found ODB laying down, figure out who did it. Is it Deanna? Is it Fire and Flavor? Who knows? And then in the main event match for the TNA World Championship match, of course, Moose did defeated Jake something with a spear and retained the title, which the main event match was pretty solid and nothing too memorable. And then at the end, you have is Moose did continue to attack Jake something with a chair until Rich Swann came out and started attacking him until they have sworn of referees and security trying to break him apart. And then Scott D'Amore did came out and declare that Rich Swann versus Moose for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship match is going to be happening at Sacrifice. And thus that concludes last week's episode of Impact Wrestling. I know, I'm excited for the AEW Revolutions pay-per-view, so there's that. And of course, it is a pretty solid episode. I give this show a B minus. It wasn't even too memorable. The only thing that I really enjoy a lot was the whole storyline feud between Moose and Jake something. The tables match was pretty decent. The main event match as well. I didn't like the fact that they didn't utilize Finn Juice as much. They kind of used it kind of like in a backstage employee segment, especially trying to convince more of this partnership. The AEW Dynamite Commercial was the one that actually steals it the most, but I wish there's a little bit more involved to it as well. But, you know, it is what it is. I give it a B minus as well. And now, let's go ahead and jump forward to Impact Wrestling, the full recap from Tuesday, March 2nd, 2020. So, before the Impact, I'm not going to go into full down. I'm just going to give a brief results for before the Impact, because it's just I don't care show, whatever. So, you have is Rohit Raju versus James Storm. It's a pretty decent match, to say at least. I enjoyed it. And then you have James Storm did defeat Rohit Raju. And of course, the feud is still continuing on because they did announce next week Beer Guns, which is James Storm and Chris Sabian, will be having a match against Rohit Raju and Shira, or let's just, you know what, I'm going to call it Desi Hit Squad 2.0, because they were part of Desi Hit Squad. So there you go, you guys. Versus Desi Hit Squad 2.0. Alrighty, you guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go to the main card. So you have is the opening of the match. You have is Ace Austin versus Chris Bay versus Black Taurus in a three-way match to determine the number one contendership for the X Division Championship match. Whoever's gonna win will be facing the current X Division champion, TJP. I actually enjoyed this match. It was a solid opening of the match altogether. You have different counters and moveset, and I know in the beginning, Chris Bay and Ace Austin start attacking Black Taurus right away, and there has been a lot of impressive counter back and forth going on. You saw Chris and Ace Austin did hit a double dive before Chris hit an implanted DDT for 2 counts before Black Taurus goes up for a suplex, as Ace Austin did hit the Miura off the top rope. Black Taurus runs over Ace Austin, which he's going to hit Chris Bay with the full before hitting Chris Bay with a pop-up Samoa drop, which it was really impressive before Ace Austin and Chris Bay did send Black Taurus over the top rope and down on the floor. And then, of course, you guys, Madman Fulton got involved in the match and did stop Chris Bay from using his Art of Finesse finisher. And that's where Ace Austin did hit Chris Bay with the fold. And thus, Ace Austin did pick up the victory, y'all. So it was a pretty impressive match, to say at least. And especially the fact that Especially the fact that Ace Austin definitely deserved to be part of the normal contendership. After all, he is the winner of the 2020 Super X Cup. Of course, he did brought in that basic trophy, of course. So, yeah, but congratulations, Ace Austin, to pick up the victory for it too. And I know that during this whole like Swingers Palace B Crap segment, Ace Austin did call out TJP in the casino and whatnot, and of course Johnny Swinger. I think he's kind of like a matchmaking booker. Like I don't know what's going on, what's his role is too. Like I thought he is like running the whole Swingers Palace casino, whatever. But yeah, interesting. So of course, they did declare that Ace Austin versus TJP's match will be happening at Sacrifice. So I'm so excited, you guys. Sacrifice is actually going to be less than a week away. You know, it is going to be after AEW's Revolution. But a couple days later, like, wow, this is going to be a busy week in wrestling, you guys. Like, no joke. Especially what's going to be happening in April. Yeah. Anyway, you guys, afterwards you have is GM Miller interviewing Jordan Grace and Jax. They're talking about their normal contendership match that will be happening at Sacrifice. And then out comes Fire and Flava. They have some brief exchange of words going on. And of course, Kiera Hogan did insert herself in a match for the main event. That's where the main event of the match that will be taking place later on is Deonna Purrazzo versus Jordan Grace versus Kiera Hogan. That is right, y'all. Afterwards, you have is the next match right here. You have is Tennille Dashwood with Kayla with the K versus Havoc. So this continues with the feud going on with Tennille Dashwood alongside with Havoc and Nevaeh, of course. Like on last week's episode, Tennille trying to convince Havoc to be her tag team partner, and especially wanted to call Havoc with a K because of her, you know, the last letter of her name, but she refused to walk away. So this match itself was pretty decent. Especially you have like your typical back and forth shot going on. Havoc was the one that's dominating most of the matches altogether. Especially she did, especially like Havoc did corner Tennille before Tennille did elbow Havoc in the side of the head before trapping her in the ropes and hitting with the net breaker for a 2 count. And then you have is Tennille using the tarantula submission hold to have before hitting a sliding crossbody, which is the taste of Tennille, for a 2 count before choking her in the ropes and stopping her counseling. So couple strides, couple like, you know, full Nelson's maneuver from Tennille to Havoc. And Havoc did use the backbreaker before hitting the lariat, and then that's where Tennille got the near falls off the rope, well, from her feet on the ropes, and then of course Kayla with the K provided the distraction to Havoc, and then of course that's where Tennille did the running leg drop, and actually, that's where Tennille did counter Havoc's running leg drop. And then that's where Tennille Dashwood hit with the spotlight and pick up the victory. And then afterwards, out comes Nevaeh coming out. And then she start beating the crap out of Kayla with the K. And then that's where she did the hammerlock DDT to him. And thus, you know, making her and Havoc standing tall, which is interesting because you saw Nevaeh consoling Havoc, and I was like, didn't she want to be in a single competitor? I mean, no hate on that though, but this whole feud, this whole like storyline with Havoc and Nevaeh, it's so complicating, and yet it's like, we're expecting them to be in singles action, but I guess they're continuing on being a tag team. But the funny part is that Tennille was like running back outside of the ring just to grab her phone, of course, because you know her phone is her prized possession, and that's where she make a somewhat of a living, becoming like an influencer too. So, yep, and of course Kayla with K with a couple of the pictures for Tennille and all that. But yeah, it's really funny. y'all. Anyway, afterwards, then you have Sami Callihan is at the Wrestling Academy in Toledo, Ohio. Shout out to Noah Foster, my NoDQ.com brethren, and the rest of the Bullcast Nation living in Ohio as well. So Sami Callihan, they cut a promo saying that, like, still talking about his negative words of encouragement to Trey Miguel, and of course he did point it out the picture of the rest of the members of the Rascals, and he said, like, I bet they remember Trey, but he didn't. Of course, you know why? Because they changed their name and they're happy to be in another company, but whatever. And of course, Sami did hijack everyone at the gym and start attacking everybody back and forth until he got confronted by Sam Fletcher, who is one of the recruitments and an independent wrestling star, and he joins him before telling that Trey that he is in good hands, and Trey is actually in the Impact Zone. So there you have it. That's what's going on with that. It's pretty interesting for this whole situation. But yeah. Anyway, and then you have is the video promo from Violent by Design where EY is punishing Diener for failing him by having Joe Dory teaching him a lesson and leaving him in a dark room. So yeah, they're kind of like beating the holy crap out of Diener because, he lost the tables match to Jake something. But we'll see what's going on next. And then you have is the usual AEW Dynamite commercial from Tony Schiavone and Tony Khan in the studio. And Tony Khan still wearing that freaking golden hard sunglasses. It's like, Tony, Valentine's Day is over. We get, you're excited for promoting Dynamite and AEW Revolution, but it was a decent commercial. Like, I expect a little bit more just to hype up more. I know they did promote the AEW Revolution pay-per-view, but, it is what it is. And then you have the video package of Moose, promoting the upcoming match they'll have at Sacrifice, and he stated that he's going to fulfill his destiny, become the Impact World Champion. We'll see about that, buddy. Anyway, next up is the match that I've been waiting for, and I'm super looking forward to it. However, this match should have been, like, second to last. Like, here's the thing of this episode of Impact Wrestling. They should have changed the match order altogether. But that's just me. I'm going to say it during my final thoughts of this week's episode of Impact Wrestling. Yeah, it's the Good Brothers and Finjuice versus the team of Triple XL and Reno Scum, which is pretty interesting combo. Reno Scum and Triple XL working together. At least they came out together after Reno Scum came out with their theme entrance. So this match itself is pretty interesting. I enjoy it, even though there has been some miscommunication going on alongside the Good Brothers and Finjuice side. But yeah, I mean, it is a pretty decent match. You have is Dave Finlay and Luster Legend kick things off by running the ropes before Dave Finlay drop kicks Luster, and Carl Anderson and Larry D came in before the Good Brothers double team Larry D, and that's where Juice Robinson comes in. Finjuice did double team Larry D before tagging in Doc Gallows, and the Good Brothers double team AC Romero on the corner before AC Romero drops Dave Finlay and sent him to the corner. Then, like, of course, Triple XL and Reno Scum did take control and isolate Dave Finlay until he gets in the hot tag to Doc Gallows. And then that's where all four members of both teams did clear the ring, beating the crap out of each other until, of course, at the end, the Good Brothers did use the Magic Killer to pin Adam Thorstone, and thus the team of Good Brothers and Finjuice did pick up the victory. And afterwards, you have kind of like a face-off between Finjuice and the Good Brothers. And, of course, they did announce... Well, actually, we're going to segue into, like... Yeah, I'm jumping, like, forward, of course. Yeah, there was a backstage argument going on from the Good Brothers and Finjuice, and that's where Doc Gallows just suggests, like, Jay will more than happy to challenge Finjuice for the Impact World Tag Team Champion at Sacrifice. You know what? Finn Juice upset it, which is pretty interesting. And thus, y'all know that the Sacrifice Impact Plus special, it's already been pre-taped. You know why? Because Finn Juice is in Japan already competing for the New Japan Cup, y'all. And plus, Juice Robinson did change his look once again, y'all. So just want to give y'all a heads up. Yeah, and then after the match and stuff, you have is a video promo from Rich Swann talking about his upcoming match with Moose at Sacrifice. And so it is kind of like an homage that he'll definitely will be retaining the title after all. But yeah, anyway, next up you have is the match that everybody's anticipating for, which honestly that match should have been before the Good Brothers and Finn Juice versus Triple X and Reno Scum. It should not be the one before the main event match, of course, but that's all I'm gonna say. Which is Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers with Matt Cardona as a special guest referee. So it is a pretty fun match. I pretty quite likely enjoy it altogether, especially Matt Cardona as a referee. He did a pretty solid job being a referee after all. And so you have like Brian thumbing the eye of Eddie Edwards and suplexing before ringing the arm of Eddie Edwards before Eddie did hit an inverted atomic drop into the overhead belly to belly, and then as for Brian Myers grabbed the chair before Eddie did flip over the top rope and onto Brian Myers at ringside. And of course, a lot of pinfalls and near falls for both guys. Of course, Eddie Edwards did the clothesline, followed by a Northern Lights suplex for a 2 count. And then that's where Eddie Edwards hit the Blue Thunderball for a 2 count before Brian Myers counter the Boston Meat Party before Eddie Edwards hit with the Backpack Stunner for a 2 count before Brian hits Eddie with the roster cut. However, when he did used the roster cut, he did put something in his elbow with some kind of a red metal piece, whatever. So when he did the roster cut, that's where he was disqualified altogether, and that's where and pretty much a good call from Matt Cardona. He saw what Brian Myers did, attend the attention. Thus, of course, Eddie Edwards did defeated Brian Myers via DQ, you guys. So the feud is still continue, y'all. So, yeah, interesting. And then you have your main event match, which is a triple threat match between Deonna Purrazzo with Kimberly and Susan versus Jordan Grace with Jazz by her corner versus Kiera Hogan with Tasha Steele by the corner. But before the match started, there was a backstage interview between Gia Miller and Deonna Purrazzo. And of course, Deonna Purrazzo did admit that she was the one that attacked ODB, and that's because she is trying to teach her a lesson. Yeah. Anyway, the match started off with Jordan and Kiera Hogan immediately started to corner Deonna Purrazzo and attacking her, sending her flying outside of the ring, which I was like, holy crap, that's a hard landing I've ever seen in a while, you guys. And then after the commercial break, you saw Deonna Purrazzo and Kiera Hogan attacking Jordan Grace until Jordan is starting to be in control before sending Deonna Purrazzo out in the ring once again, and that's where Jordan Grace did finally suplex Kiera Hogan for a 2 count. There was a lot of back and forth going on between Kiera and Jordan up until Deonna Purrazzo did trip Jordan and puts Kiera Hogan in a Fujiwara armbar until Jordan did break before Kiera Hogan did actually tap out. And that's where Kiera Hogan did Uranagi to Deonna. And of course, Deonna Purrazzo did the Fujiwara armbar again to Jordan Grace once again. And then that's where Kiera did the diving crossbody for a 2 count. And of course, and then a lot of So many counters, so many suplexes, and the counter strike all together. And then you saw outside of the ring that everybody was brawling outside, like Kimberly, Susan, Tasha Steele, and Jazz. Like, they were all brawling. And then, of course, you got, like, Deanna and Kira Hogan got involved until Jordan Grace did hit him with in a really beautiful suicide dive outside of the ring. Like, holy crap. And that's where Jordan Grace did toss Kira back inside and hit the running Minoru in a corner into a sliding clothesline before Tasha did actually pull Kira Hogan out of the ring when Jordan Grace did miss the Vader bomb. And thus, that's where Deonna Purrazzo took the advantage and rolled Jordan Grace up, and thus Deonna Purrazzo did pick up the victory. And then afterwards, that's where, like, Jordan Grace did start chasing Kira Hogan and Tasha Steele. That's where, actually, no, she did chase Tasha Steele, and that's where she did beat the holy crap out of each other. So while Jordan Grace and Jazz was busy, like, kind of like trying to beat the holy crap out of Fire and Flava, guess who showed up? Boom! ODB, that's right. ODB shows up and start attacking Deonna Purrazzo. And that's where she did the BAM! Slam. And she stands tall while holding the Knockouts Championship. And that's where Impact Wrestling ended. And by the way, they did announce that Deonna Purrazzo will be defending her Knockouts title against ODB at Sacrifice, which I'm so excited, especially seeing ODB in action for the title match. But yeah, and that concludes Impact Wrestling. I actually really enjoyed this match a lot, like the main event match. The show itself is pretty good. However, the placement of the match order, like the Good Brothers of Finn Juice versus Reigns Scum Triple XL, it should have been the co-main event instead of Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers with Matt Cardona as a special guest referee. It should be before that, because you gotta expect with the whole draw of this, and it kind of like fizzles out a bit too, especially you wanted to build in more of the anticipation. Plus, the Good Brothers, however, is a bigger star, so is Vengeance. They're representing New Japan Pro Wrestling, so I'm kind of like quite disappointed with the match order in place. But all in all, it is a pretty solid match. The whole Havoc and Nevaeh situation is very confusing as hell. And of course, they still continue on with this whole, like, Swingers Palace storyline for that. So, for that, I'm actually giving this show a B- as well. I mean, you gotta start focusing more. It's just, I know Impact Wrestling's focusing on, like, getting ready for their Impact Plus special, but let them know we're less than a month away from the big pay-per-view, which is Rebellion. But maybe things may be changing because, of course, you have AEW Revolutions coming up. Something big may happen. Who knows? Especially with this whole cross promotion going on. But we'll see, y'all. All right, y'all. With that being said, let's go ahead and go to AEW bonus. Now you guys have been asking me what are my thoughts about Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet versus Shaq and Jade Cargill. Let's just say, I'll be damned. I am very impressed with the opening of the match. Like, who would have thought that Shaq actually did a good job? Like, I want to give a shout out to one of my good friend, Brandon Patrick. We did talk about this particular match altogether, and he told me that, like, Shaq actually is a better in-ring performer than the Great Khali, with all due respect. I know, like, with Shaq, I'm very impressed that, like, he did couple the chop, and especially the part where he actually did a choke slam to Cody. Like, holy damn. But I wanted to give him a huge mad respect to Shaq, that he actually paid a tribute to the late Mr. Brody Lee by doing, like, you know, the usual, like, pose that Brody Lee did before doing the power bomb to Cody, which, you know, mad respect to him. And however, the only thing I really enjoy a lot, especially, is the ladies, Red Velvet and Jade Cargill. they put most of the work in this match, and I was very blown away for both the ladies' performance. I know some people are kind of like not narking Jade Cargill as being the AEW version of Mandy Rose because of her ring gear and her finisher, by the way. But I don't see the resemblance of her being Mandy Rose. It's different, y'all. Everybody has their unique different styles and how they deliver each of the moves set as well. I was very blown away. Like, yeah, Red Velvet did couple punches and all that. That's where Jay did toss Red Velvet across the ring, and of course Red Velvet did the crossbody for the top rope and counter into a fallaway slam to Red Velvet. So I was very impressed with this all together. And of course, like, you saw, like, freaking Austin Gunn did strike Shaq in the back. And that's where Shaq did attack Austin Gunn with the chair. And he slammed freaking Colton Gunn. Like, seriously. And then you saw Red Velvet did hit a moonsault to everyone. Like, damn, girl. Very impressive. And then you saw Jade did a figure four lock to Red Velvet. And then you saw Jade Cargill did set up the table. Like, holy crap. So, yeah, shit, you know what? Screw it. Shit is getting real for this, too. And you saw, like, Red Velvet actually set up her own table. So you got two tables, like, getting involved, and that's where Red Velvet did hit in there on Agi TJ before tagging Cody, and that's where the impressive moment happened. So, like I said, after Shaq pays a tribute to Brody Lee and hit Cody with the powerbomb, that's where, like, a lot of crap is hitting the fan, and thus, like, Cody did the crossbody to Shaq, and that's where they went through the double tables. Like, holy crap. Until, of course, at the end, Jade Cargill did hit with the face first slam, which, of course, the name of her finisher is called Jaded, so Jade hit Red Velvet with the Jaded, and thus the team of Jade Cargill and Shaquille O'Neal did pick up the victory. And yeah, I was very impressed with this match altogether. I love it, but kudos to Jade and Red Velvet for, putting it out of the park. These ladies delivered so much. And I'm very impressed with Jade Cargill as well in the competitor side. Like, shoot. It comes to show she's going to be, like, a biggest star of it all, too. I mean, she is all elite, and she is ready to, like, dominating, like, in the women's division. So I'm so looking forward to how they're going to do it. Hopefully they better not, like, misuse her, like putting her on AEW Dark or anything like that, because I would love to see more of Jade Cargill. So yeah, very impressed. And then you saw, like, after the commercial, Shaq is being shown stretch into an ambulance, and then Tony Schiavone was trying to go over to talk to him, but he vanished. And I was like, let's just hope it better not have nothing to do with his past movie role he was part of. Is it Kazam? Yeah, it's Kazam. I'm trying to remember the name of the movie. I did watch that movie one time when I was a little kid, and looking back at it, oh my god, that movie was cringe. Yeah, y'all, it was cringe. Let's just say that. Anyway, you guys, so that are my thoughts about it. Now, my thoughts on the AEW Women's Tournament match. Of course, Nyla Rose versus Ryo Mizunami. And I know I did touch full base about the whole AEW Women's Tournament on my Instagram TV, which I suggest you check it out. Simply_C_OK, SIMPLY_C_OK on Instagram. I did cover everything about the Women's Tournament itself. And, and I did wholeheartedly express how I feel about the whole Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose short but sweet. Like, I did cover it fully on supposedly the episode. Let's just say my official lost episode Into the Stratusphere. Let's just say that. Yes, the official Lost episode Into the Stratosphere, I went all hard about like how AEW did drop the ball on Britt Baker to Nyla Rose. I did fully express how I feel about it on during the NoDQ.com live prediction video about this altogether. And boy, I was wrong about this tournament finale too. So I'm gonna be giving my letter grade after I'm talking about this match itself. Nyla Rose with Vicki Guerrero versus Ryo Mizunami. I was very surprised about this match altogether. These ladies definitely deliver a lot. A lot of like back and forth counters and couple strikes going on. You know, and then you saw Nyla Rose with multiple chops to Ryo Mizunami, and so is Ryo going back and forth, and then you saw Nyla Rose did the Death Valley Driver for 2 counts to Mizunami, and then Ryo did a lateral press before Nyla gets back up and nailed Ryo with some big heavy shot. And of course, so many back and forth. And that's where Nyla Rose was about to do the Beast Bomb, but Mizunami gets out and hit Nyla with the Exploder. And then they both went up a top rope until Nyla Rose delivered a suplex and hit the mat hard. And of course, Ryo Mizunami hit the German suplex first, then the spear, and then she did the guillotine leg drop. And y'all, Ryo Mizunami is the winner of the AEW Women's Eliminator Tournament, y'all. Like, holy crap. That was pretty shocking. Like, you know, like, I was very, very, very doubtful of this tournament itself. And we all thought that it's going to be Nyla Rose to win the tournament to face Shida. And, like, I honestly don't want Nyla versus Shida again, especially the fact that, like, you're trying to build this tournament. It should have been Britt Baker in the first place, and on the Japanese side, it should have been Maki Itoh in the first place, nor Yuka Sakazaki altogether. But, you know, it is what it is. It's all good. And then afterwards, Hikaru Shida presented the trophy, which, by the way, that trophy was better than the freaking Super X Cup trophy from Impact Wrestling. Just saying. And then that's where Ryo Mizunami took a shot at Shida. Shida took a shot back, and I think this is kind of like a friendly shot, like punching each other back and forth. Kind of like, you know, what to expect, what's going on this Summit Day. So that's right. So Hikaru Shida will be facing Ryo Mizunami for the AEW Women's Championship match title at Revolution. So yeah. So the tournament itself, you guys, the Japan, like, all in all, I'm going to say my final thoughts right now. Because I was supposed to be doing it on Instagram TV. However, like, I wasn't even feel good. And plus, like, you know, my sleep schedule was all over the place because I started work early, you know. But, you know, I enjoy the women's match. However, the USA side, the booking was really bad. I just want to say it was really bad for the fact that, like, you know, it's a misfortunate injury from Anna Jay's side, and they booked putting Maddie Rachowski in. It should have been somebody else that is pretty well deserving to challenge Britt Baker, but it's all good. The semifinal match was the one that actually dropped the ball the most, which is Nyla Rose versus Britt Baker. It should have been Britt in the first place. I bet everybody's bracket got busted, of course, so it sucks huge. And the way that, like, in the USA finale between Thunder Rosa and Nyla Rose, you know, it was so, like, you thought that Thunder Rosa will win, but then you have Nyla Rose. So it was pretty much a bad booking altogether. However, the only match I really enjoyed out of the round 1 of the tournament was Serena Deeb versus Riho. I enjoyed it a lot, and mad respect to Serena Deeb for working during her knee injury. Thank goodness it's not super serious, you guys. You know, and I really enjoyed it a lot. The Japanese side, I enjoyed that Japanese side bracket the most. Even though I wasn't even too happy about Ryo Mizunami defeated Maki Itoh in that match. But it was great to have everybody introduced to the style of Joshi wrestling altogether, and especially how each of the matches. My favorite match out of the round 1 tournament was actually Emi Sakura versus Benny, and then the semifinal match, the match I really enjoyed a lot was Emi Sakura versus Yuka Sakazaki. Okay, in the semifinal USA side, you know what? I enjoy Thunder Rosa versus Riho. I enjoy it the most out of it too, especially it aired on Bleacher Report. Yeah. So, with that being said, my final grade of the AEW Women's Tournament, I'm gonna give it a B minus. Just to be generous. These ladies actually did a good job. It was great seeing Riho, Emi Sakura, and Yuka Sakazaki, Ren Kanagura, and Ryo Mizunami, and Aja Khan back since, we haven't seen Aja, Ryo, and Rin since 2019. We haven't seen Yuka Sakazaki, Emi Sakura, and Riho in over a year. So it was great seeing them all together, seeing them once again. And so B minus is my final grade for the AEW Women's Tournament. With that being said, let's go ahead and go to the AEW Revolutions Prediction, the updated version. Update, y'all. Update. Update, y'all. Update. Noah Foster, you're going down. That's right. Even though I am competing for both the NoDQ.com AEW Prediction League, but also I am challenging for the Bulletcast title, so Baby Huey, Philip, and Brandon, y'all are going down. So here it is, you guys. So I know Bulletcast, we're not including the buy-in, but I am including the buy-in because we did add it in the NoDQ Prediction League. So buy-in does matters with our points. Win-loss records does count. So, for the buy-in, you have is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Rebel versus Thunder Rosa and Riho. This is going to be a really impressive match, especially the continuation of the feud between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. For my pick, I'm going to go with Thunder Rosa and Riho because who knows? This is maybe going to be the last time we'll be seeing Thunder Rosa because, NWA is going to be back and she has a couple of months left until her contract with NWA expires. So I feel that putting Thunder Rosa over and special Riho, since this is Riho's first pay-per-view in over a year, so it would make it more sense for them to win and defeated Britt Baker and Rebel, thus hopefully to end this whole storyline altogether. So, I'm going Riho and Thunder Rosa. And then, aren't we supposed to be having, and then it was supposed to be MJF and Chris Jericho versus the current AEW Tag Team Champion, the Young Bucks. So you have is the Young Bucks versus MJF and Chris Jericho for the AEW World Tag Team title match. I'm gonna go with MJF and Chris Jericho to become the new tag team champion. That is right. Okay, now I saw it on Wikipedia because the match order itself is scrambling upon altogether. So, so the reason why I'm picking Chris Jericho and MJF because I feel that this may be going to be the end of this whole situation with the inner circle going on amongst each other. And plus, the Young Bucks, they're going through so much. They have to deal with the whole Good Brothers, Kenny Omega and Don Callis situation. And, the whole rivalry with MJF and Chris Jericho after what happened to their dad, Papa Bucks, of course. I did touch base more on the NoDQ.com live prediction about it. So that's why I'm picking MJF and Chris Jericho to become the AEW World Tag Team Champion. And then we're going to go into the Casino Battle Royal for the future AEW number 1 contendership shot. So here are the teams that are going to be competing. Bear Country. All members of the Dark Order, which is Alex Reynolds and John Silver, Evo Uno, Stu Grayson, Alan 5 Angel, and Preston 10 Vance. Sorry. Preston 10 Vance. Santana and Ortiz, The Butcher and the Blade, Private Party, Top Flight, Death Triangle, which is Pac and Ray Phoenix, Varsity Blonde, the Seidel brother, Matt and Mike Seidel, SCU, Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels, The Natural Nightmare, Chaos Project, Gun Club, which is Austin and Colton Gunn, which, by the way, this is going to be Colton Gunn's first pay-per-view match. Jurassic Express, which is Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. The Pretty Picture, which is Peter Avalon and former NXT star Cesar Bononi, which hopefully he better be signed. Please, Tony Khan, sign Cesar Bononi. And a TBA, whatever. Okay, TBA, that's right. So for my pick of these, who's going to win the World Tag Team number one contendership, I went with Santana and Ortiz because it could go either way for whoever is going to be the one that's going to be either the Young Bucks retain or MJF and Chris Jericho. I went with Santana Ortiz altogether. It can go to either way with the storyline. And for the surprise TBA, because of course we're putting it in the bonus for the NoDQ.com prediction league. For my TBA, I went with the Good Brothers, you guys, because I feel the Good Brothers would be a good asset for them to compete in the Casino Battle Royal Casino Tag Team Battle Royal, especially just to help to promote for the upcoming Impact Wrestling Impact Plus special, which is, of course, Sacrifice, and the next pay-per-view for Impact, Rebellion, too. So having the Good Brothers being in the Casino Tag Team Battle Royal will definitely help boost up with, like, getting everybody in for the matchup and to tune into Impact Wrestling. And then you have is the big money match. The winner received the losers 2021 first quarter earning, which is Matt Hardy versus Hangman Page. I went with Hangman Page in this one. I mean, like I said on the live prediction video with No DQ, is Matt Hardy taking the L is not going to hurt him, but he's going to be focusing more on being more of in a managerial role. So there's that. And then, of course, Best Friend, Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor versus Miro and Kip Sabian. And I went on a full rant about this altogether. Long story short, this one, have Britt Baker and Rebel versus Rio and Thunder Rosa match in the main card and put Miro and Kip Sabian versus Best Friend in the buy-in. Yeah, but for my pick, he needs to be the dominant one and end it. Go with Miro and Kip Sabian. That's my pick. Miro and Kip Sabian. And hopefully if they lost whatever, Miro can attack Kip Sabian and go on a separate way. Because, face it, the wedding's over. Why the hell they still call Miro the best man? Doesn't make no freaking sense. Whatever. And then you have is the AEW Women's World Championship match between Hikaru Shida versus Miyu Mizunami. I decided, you know what, y'all? I went outside of the box on this. So for my pick, and y'all gonna call me crazy, and I don't give a crap, I'm going with Ryo Mizunami as the new champion. I figure, without due respect to Hikaru Shida, she had an incredible run being the AEW Women's Champion, but I feel we need someone fresh, and something different. So that's why I went with Ryo Mizunami. I think I can see her as a full potential become a champion. Have her hold the title for just over 2 weeks or a month before losing to someone like Britt Baker. Hello. But, it is what it is. I mean, if I lost this match, it doesn't even matter to me, I just want to see something different when it comes to, the women's title. Especially if they need to work on the women's division still. I know it's the women's division is getting started, but I feel it's kind of slightly going backwards. But just me and my opinion, y'all. And then you have is the Face of the Revolution ladder match for the number one contendership of the AEW TNT Championship match. Whoever's going to be the one that's going to face the current TNT champion, Darby Allin. So you have is Cody Rhodes versus Scorpio Sky versus Penta El Cero Miedo versus Lance Archer versus Max Caster versus a to be determined. So for my pick, originally I wanted Penta El Cero Miedo to win. However, after what I'm seeing on AEW Dynamite, I was like, I gotta change my pick. So, my pick to be the number one contendership spot, I'm going with Scorpio Sky on this because I feel he definitely deserved to have another title shot, especially for the TNT title against Darby Allin. Especially, like, he brought in more demeanor, more strive to it, too. So, that. And for my TBA, because I had to include that because, you know, NoDQ.com Prediction League. For my TBA, I went with someone who just done with this particular company, and he's official free agent, even though he went silent on social media, of course, except for Patreon. I'm going with, of course, Ethan Page to be the surprise TBA, y'all. That's right. So, Scorpio Sky for a win, TBA, Ethan Page. And then we're going to the street fight match. That's right. You have is representing Team Taz, Brian Cage and Ricky Starks versus Darby Allin and Sting. I have a feeling it may be going to be a cinematic match, but if it's not, it's all good. I mean, it is going to be a pretty interesting match. I feel that Darby Allin is going to be putting so much work in a street fight than Sting. I mean, I know they're probably going to protect Sting, but we'll see what's up. But for my pick up this match, I'm going with Darby Allin and Sting to pick up the victory. And lastly, the match that I've been all waiting for, that I am super looking forward to, and especially you saw it on Twitter, the exploding barbed wire death match for the AEW World Championship match between the current champ, Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley. I highly suggest to check out two matches as I mentioned it. Atsushi Onita versus Terry Funk and Atsushi Onita versus Hayabusa. Check both of these matches out because you guys are going to be in for a treat. This whole anticipation and the layout. I know Kenny Omega did send out a tweet explaining about what this match is all about, especially that drawing the picture. And I was like, okay, this is what it's going to be like, but how it's going to spread out when it comes to the set and the audience itself, too. I am so excited for this match altogether. It's so much anticipation. But for my pick, I'm going with Kenny Omega to retain the title. And I went into a full dive deep with my reasoning, but long story short, Jon Moxley needs to spend time with his pregnant wife, Renee Young. And yes, I can say Renee Young because she's back on WWE backstage. So, yeah. And he needs to fulfill his New Japan Pro Wrestling obligation since he just retained the IWGP United States title against Kenta on last week's episode of New Japan Strong. Yeah. So it'll be a great way to written off Jon Moxley, but I hope nothing too crazy dangerous is going to go on with this. But yeah, all in all, that is it for my prediction for the AEW Revolution. So good luck to you, Philip, Brandon, and Baby Huey. You're all going down for the Bulletcast title. Also, good luck to Aaron Riff, Big G, Colin Andrew, Noah Foster, Jeff Meacham, and Son Goku, especially you, Son, because you are the current No DQ AEW Prediction League's champion at the moment. Everybody, y'all are going down. Alright, with that being said, that is it for the episode of Into the Stratusphere. Thank you so much for listening, and again, I'm so sorry about the delay of it too. So, and besides, I have my first official lost episode, so you can say that. Yeah. But anyway, I enjoy recording this more than recording the original episode that was supposed to be being on air last week, but it didn't happen, but it's all good. So anyway, y'all, with that being said, make sure to comment down below if you're watching it, if you're listening to it on YouTube, or, you know, send me a DM or whatever, or comment down below on the post on the Bulletcast Instagram page. So anyway, plug. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at simply_C_OK. That's SIMPLY_C_OK. Follow me on TikTok, you guys. I mean, I enjoy doing a lot of TikTok videos, including wrestling-related content, because I did the challenges when it comes to wrestling, but also non-wrestling stuff, because I like to dance and bust down, you know, and, you know, twerking my ass, but it's all good. I love to dance, but it's all good. Confidence is the best. Make sure to follow me on TikTok at simply_C_ okay? That's SIMPLY_C_OKAY. Make sure to follow my podcast, The Adventures in Wrestling Podcast, at The Adventures in Wrestling Podcast Storytelling Edition on certain podcasting platform. YouTube at Adventures in Wrestling by Cindy G, and Instagram at Adventures_in_wrestling_podcast. Also, Bulletcast. Make sure to follow the Bulletcast on all podcasting platforms, including Patreon. Make sure to follow at Bulletcast on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. And also, make sure to follow NoDQ.com. That's NoDQ.com on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on the YouTube channel as well. And check out the website for your sources and wrestling headlines. So with that being said, you guys, just remember to please wash your hands 20 to 30 seconds. Practice social distancing, wearing your face masks and or face covering at all time. No excuses. And remember, you guys, please be kind to one another. We're all in this together. Until then, I'll be back joining Philip and Brandon for the AEW recap. You guys, your girl, Cindy G, will be making the appearance this Sunday after AEW Revolution. Till then, this is your girl, Cindy G here, and I'll see or listen to y'all on Sunday with Philip and Brandon for the AEW Revolution recap. Cheers, y'all.
This has been the Bulletcast. Thank you for listening.